Every Epiphany at First Congregational, we select star words. As the Magi followed the star to the baby Jesus, we follow our star words throughout the year. This year, we've tried something new. We've selected, or have had selected for our whole congregation, a star word. And that word? Redemption. Many of us, including me, were not excited about that word. I mean, community would have been great, or justice, or love. But redemption? Redemption has so many negative connotations, especially from the conservative religious traditions from which many of us come. As I thought about it, though, redemption is growing on me. To redeem something is to increase its value, to see that something with new eyes, to look at it again and find a deeper worth, or assign a deeper worth to it. Today, I want to talk to you about redeeming our nation, about increasing its value, about seeing it with new eyes. I want to invite us to look deeper at our nation and search for a deeper worth than it has known before, for us to assign a deeper worth than it has known before. In short, I want to invite you to work with me to save our nation. What we saw on Wednesday, Epiphany, was startling. A vicious mob forcing its way into the Capitol building, fighting Capitol Police, killing one of them, forcing their way into the House chamber, invading the representatives' offices. In addition to Officer Brian Sicknick, 4 other people were killed. They lost their lives in that melee on Wednesday. Yes, the rhetoric has been ratcheting up for years. Yes, it's been puzzling why the president hasn't accepted the results of the election, but the images we saw on Wednesday, it wasn't the kind of thing we ever thought we'd see in our country, the United States of America. It's the kind of thing we expect to see happening in other countries, not ours. But it has happened. And I hope those images of people scaling the walls at the Capitol building and breaking windows and marching down the halls screaming, I hope those images will remain imprinted on our minds, because what happened on Wednesday was our nation's epiphany. And that epiphany was this: as a people, as a nation, we must change. And when I say we must change, I'm not only talking about changing our elected officials, though in some cases that might help. I'm not even talking about changing policies, though that work is desperately needed. The change I'm talking about is in how we treat each other. Most of the Old Testament prophets, a lot of the psalmists as well, they spoke to people who were losing or had lost their country, literally. The explanation the prophets give for those dire circumstances? You didn't care for the poor. You neglected the least of these. You cared more about your own well-being than the well-being of others. I fear the same is true for us. We too are losing our country because we as a nation aren't caring for the poor and the least of these. We're thrilled the market is doing so well, but fail to think about people who will never have enough money to invest in the stock market. As a nation, we're focusing more on individuals and on ourselves than we are about the community and about others. And if we don't change things now, we are going to lose our country. Period. How do we redeem our nation? How do we increase its value? We do it by going back to the basics, the 4 R's. First, we remember that rhetoric matters. The words we speak have meaning. What we say creates the world we inhabit. If we speak kindness and truth, the world becomes kinder and truer. If we spew hatred and lies, those things will take root and grow. While the images we saw on Wednesday were startling, in one sense, they weren't all that surprising. For 4 years, little lies have snowballed into big lies because no one has stopped them. Giving the president the benefit of the doubt soon led to enabling his unhealthy and unstable behavior. At some point, the media stopped counting the mistruths spoken by the president and simply began to say what the president said is not true. When the first lie was given a pass, all the other lies lined up because they knew there would be nothing to stop them. So why? Why for 4 years has congressional leadership abided the lies? It's no mystery, really. The president's lies got a pass from some leaders because they wanted power at any cost. That's the second R. If we want to redeem our nation, we must rethink power. In politics, power has become a zero-sum game. Either you have it or you don't. What can we do for our side is the main question. Often it turns into, what can I do for myself? Psychologist Rollo May described 5 different kinds of power: exploitative, manipulative, competitive, nutritive, and integrative. In so-called normal times, our government tends to gravitate to competitive power, a constant struggle between the parties to move their agenda forward. In the last 4 years, and especially in the last week, we have seen power used to manipulate and exploit. We have seen power's ability to destroy. As May describes it, nutritive power is power for others. We are employing nutritive power when we act others into well-being. When both political parties work together, as they did on the first CARES Act, for the good of all Americans, our elected officials are engaging in nutritive power, power for others. That 5th kind of power, integrative power, is shared power among equals. It's when all of us work together equally for the common good. So, if we want to save our nation, we need to remember that rhetoric matters. We need to rethink power. And the 3rd R, we need to reconnect with the common good. Remember that? The common good. Do our governmental policies benefit all of the populace? Do the practices in our communities, even in our church, do we consider the impact of those practices on the least of these? As the prophets told our ancestors in faith, unless we reconnect with the common good, we will lose our country. So remember that rhetoric matters. Rethink power. Reconnect with the common good. If we mindfully engage in these 3 things, we'll be taking a solid first step to redeeming our country. But that 4th R, this last thing is crucial. If we are to have any hope of redeeming our country, we must reclaim kindness. A lot of us are pretty angry right now, maybe even enraged. It's understandable, even commendable. One person has prayed for the courage to stay angry. If ever there was a moment to be enraged, this is it. Once the anger has passed, or has been redirected into action, I'm convinced that the thing that is most needed, the thing, maybe the only thing that will transform our nation, is to reclaim kindness. To see every person as a human being. To see the flesh and blood human being in front of us, the person who is a son or a daughter or a mother or a father or a friend or grandparent, to understand that that person is a person, a beloved child of God, and to treat them with fairness and dignity. If we continue to vilify the people with whom we don't agree, if we dehumanize people we don't understand or simply don't like, if we don't reclaim kindness as a daily practice, we will lose our country. I want to say that again. If we don't reclaim kindness as a daily practice, we will lose our country. I had hoped today to be speaking from our baptismal font in the sanctuary, but our driveway is iced and I can't get out. So I'm speaking from home today. But yesterday, we celebrated the baptism of Jesus and renewed our baptismal vows. And in yesterday's sermon, I suggested that we don't fully experience our baptisms until we live out our baptisms in the world. And if ever there was a time to live as baptized people, it's now. If ever there was a time to follow Jesus, it's now. If ever there was a time to go forth, not as individuals, but as part of the whole community of Jesus' followers, it's now. If ever there was a time to act the world into well-being, it is now. So, baptized people of God, will we remember that rhetoric matters? Will we rethink power? Will we reconnect with the common good? And will we reclaim kindness? What I'm asking my baptized siblings, beloved children of God, what will we, as baptized, beloved children of God, what will we do to redeem our nation? In the name of our God, who creates us, redeems us, sustains us, and hopes for our wholeness.